Maybe Trump will treat Rogan to a modern Jackie Gleason experience and show him the goods. Number 7, the movie accurately portrays UFO science. When Margaret Wakefield finishes her regression, Wardex starts to close in on her, Daniel, and Hugo. So she grabs hold of the device, which turns her entire house and everything in it into a flaming little firecracker floating in the air. The holographic principle is that the lower dimensional boundary, like a 2D surface of a black hole, can encode the 3D information about it. This principle is often alluded to by UFO whistleblowers like David Grush.
It could be that this is not necessarily extraterrestrial and it's actually coming from a higher dimensional physical space that might be co-located right here.
It seems like UFOs are rendered in 3D reality, but are coming from a higher dimensional space. Just like Margaret, Hugo, and Daniel collapsing into a little firecracker. In other cases, UFOs are often seen as 3D objects that are windows into even higher dimensional space we can't conceive of.
I cannot show you a tesseract because I and you are trapped in 3 dimensions. But what I can show you is the shadow in 3 dimensions of a 4-dimensional hypercube or tesseract. This is it.
Jacques Vallée even discusses a case in San Jose that's typical of this holographic experience, where the UFO appeared much smaller on the outside than it ended up being on the inside.
When you went inside, you said, there was this being, and the being took you on a staircase. I say, where did the staircase go? Well, the staircase went up the side of this big round room. I say, how would you compare it to? It's, well, like a movie house, like an amphitheater. I said, that's bigger than your house. Why is the inside bigger than the outside?
UFOs and aliens also seem to engage in something called signature management. Basically, they can completely manipulate our perception of them.
Different forms and maybe different sources.
Mm-hmm.
These days, since our technology platforms are so high to generate effects, and our detection platforms are so well advanced, so we could see a lot more.
And that's exactly what Margaret Fairchild does to escape Wardex. She shows up as past loved ones in their lives. She even turns into Noah Scanlan's ex-wife. In other words, she shapeshifts and she weaponizes her empathy. Finally, there's a recurring trope in the movie that you can't quote-unquote dive on an experiencer. You can't remote view them. It feels too specific to have not come from an inside source. There's also a fascinating and clearly deliberate discrepancy between the Disclosure Day trailer and what ends up making the cut in the movie. A discrepancy that possibly implies that there are 1 billion people on Earth that aren't actually people.
The line in the trailer was, 7 billion people have the right to know the truth.
Which set everybody off because people were saying either they don't know how many people are on the planet, which seems unlikely, or maybe it doesn't take place in the present, or maybe 1 billion people are alien hybrids or whatever. But isn't it interesting? It's in the trailer and then it's not in the movie.
The final piece of possible truth in Disclosure Day has been speculated on by UFO researchers like Chris Ramsey. And it's a super fascinating question we all have to ask. Was there a real piece of physical evidence, perhaps material from a craft, a video, or a photo of a UFO or an alien being in this movie that was actually real? This would be impossible to deduce, especially in the closing montage, in which all of Wardex's UFO evidence gets aired live on Margaret Fairchild's cable news show. There are so many wild photos and videos of UFO crashes, alien bodies getting inspected, UFOs caught on thermal imaging, flying in a V formation and diving underwater. Most of these photos and videos look pretty abjectly fake, but were any of them actual UFO material shown in the movie? It would be a pretty reasonable reward for America's preeminent alien movie director, who has clearly released a lot of truth in fiction in the past.
I think the public's urge to know is more like a right to know. UFO